Hallelujah indeed. Thank you so much for being here. A happy Easter to all of you. So grateful to experience God's risen love with you today. So many people that are here, so many people that have made this day possible. Our CSC friends and alum who have just made the CSC a wonderful place to worship for so many decades. Old Marmalade himself is here. Father Gary, so happy to be with you. I saw last year, I went back on the YouTube to see how long you preached last year, 22 minutes. So I'm going to try and match that today. In a very special way, just with gratitude for my coworkers, fellow teammates, and for the wonderful choir. Just beautiful to be able to have all of these liturgies sum up into this one liturgy today. So they've been working so hard. If we can just really quickly just give them our appreciation. It's like Pastor 101, you don't thank the staff, but I just think it's really important to do that. And truly, the group that I'd just like to thank the most are our WashU students who are here today. Truly, in the midst of everything that you're going through, that you want to be here, even if you were dragged here by a classmate or a roommate, there's something about being here on Easter Sunday in the midst of all of your stress. We got 2 more weeks, right? May 6th. You just, go off to some beach or something like that. Probably not. You have like 8 internships you're going to do at the same time. But we're just so proud of you, and we're praying for you. Can you please stand so we can just show our appreciation to you? Please stand, WashU students. I grew up with good Easters. I loved Easter because there'd always be a basket of candy. I know that that's not everybody's experience, so I'm just very grateful that I had that opportunity. I could usually haggle and trade Reese's for something else that my sister would have in her basket. This was the one time that we called a truce when it was the exchange of candy. So Halloween and Easter, maybe a little Christmas time, we would put aside our weapons and we would just come before each other. And we've decided today, we have a pact, right, that this is peacetime. Okay, great. Just making sure. Because in the middle of all of these things, it's just so important to get candy. And there was another way in which our parents decided that they could help us to be future diabetics. And part of that was how they had an Easter egg hunt. And my dad was tasked with writing down the clues. And he would have these really, really complex clues that would really make us have to think and then go from different places around the house. So, for instance, he would have a line from Wordsworth, and we'd be like, gosh, like Wordsworth. Oh, his desk. And we'd go down and we'd find the next clue. Or there would be maybe just a little stanza from Hamlet. And we're like, Hamlet. Oh, the refrigerator, because that's where you put ham. And so we'd go to the refrigerator. As the hunt would go on, and I'm just picturing Dad at 2 a.m. grousing, like, why am I such a good dad? Just kind of doing these things. Some of the clues would get less complex. And since we are such brilliant and accomplished young people, we didn't understand maybe the context clues in which they were written. So one time we opened up one that said, Hantry, Dantry, Flantry, you'll find me in the... And we're like, is this from the Old Testament? I don't know. I mean, let's go look at the Dead Sea Scrolls because we have a copy, and just to be able to see. And he's like, no, come on, you idiots, it's the pantry. We're like, oh, the pantry. Hantry, Dantry, Flantry. So year after year, we would just keep laughing. We're like, where's the Hantry, Dantry clues, Dad? And he's like, you're all ridiculous. I'm going to therapy. Yeah, but just the sense of having to seek and find, especially to get something sweet, I think is just a beautiful image in my life of what it is to be a Christian. Because I think that there are times where we go looking for different clues, but we come up empty. Maybe we go seeking something that we think will be sweet, but actually, because it's sin, it ends up being bitter. It ends up compounding the situation. We're like, oh, this will be the thing that allows me to be me, that allows me to be free. When actually, it's deceit. It's lie. And the enemy loves to capitalize on those things. We think, maybe if I accomplish this thing, this title, this status, wearing these green robes, then finally I'll be okay. It doesn't work that way, does it? That's the deceit. And there's this gnawing sense. He was like, keep trying, and then maybe you'll be good enough. Maybe you'll find fulfillment. Maybe when you get married, maybe when you get that job, maybe when you graduate freshman year, class of 28, you're almost there, right? Yeah, almost through the first year. But noticing that it'll never be enough. And those clues, they don't actually end up with something that you find satisfying. They end up in lies and emptiness. Jesus has been giving his disciples, giving you clues your whole life, throughout all of time, about who Jesus is, about where Jesus is going, about what Jesus wants from you, and how he wants to satisfy your heart. And the disciples, even today, have to be reminded, he has risen as he said, Hantry Dantry. Why are you seeking the living among the dead? Why do you not understand this? And then they go and they find him. We're going to hear throughout this Easter season, there's more to come, friends. Week after week, when we come to church and we seek the Lord where he may be found, we find in the road to Emmaus that he is the one that opens his disciples' minds to the scriptures, that fulfills their understanding of what they're truly desiring in the breaking of the bread and the Holy Eucharist. That we find in Jesus somebody who is not filled with deceit or manipulation, or any sort of cajoling or trying to help you to or whip you into shape, but instead we find an open palm leading us to the way of salvation. And that palm has been pierced on a cross. He's not messing around. He wants you to have these clues on how to live your life so that you might find fulfillment in your life. We've all looked for empty shells without any clues. We've all been there, feeling lonely and isolated. Perhaps maybe you're feeling that right now. What if in this moment, what if in this Easter season, what if in these days, you allowed your encounter with Jesus to be real and to start to look for the clues? They're very obvious when you start to look at them with your heart. Last night, we baptized 4 WashU students into the faith, and one will be coming in the weeks to come. And we welcomed many young students into the Catholic tradition, having been Christian before, but wanting to seek the sacraments. And then even more who received the sacrament of confirmation. Some of them are here tonight. I will not make them stand, right? You've stood enough up front of everybody. But it was just so beautiful as they came forward to receive their first communion that they were seeking the Lord intentionally. As they put out their hands and said amen, they knew that he's the clue to everlasting life. And that they've decided, just like we hopefully will do as we renew our baptismal promises in a moment, to continue to seek the Lord moment by moment. Not to have it all figured out, not to understand everything all at once, but to trust that the Lord is who he says that he is, and that the Lord is faithful, and that the Lord loves you beyond comparison, more than anyone else ever could. But what about the wars? What about the calamities? What about the protests? What about the buildings that aren't being built? What about the circumstances? What about my immigration status? What about? I know, it's a lot. And sometimes we don't have the answers. But we have Jesus. Can that be enough? I bet some of the disciples were trying to manage him even after the resurrection. It's like, okay, well, do we need to put gauze in you? Like, are you okay? Like, what do we do now? The Romans are still trying to kill us. What about the Jewish leaders? Like, how do we help them to come into this conversation? Jesus said, can we just, for today, love each other and rejoice in the truth that I have conquered sin and death? Can we just for a moment rest in that reassurance that no matter what, death will not win? That the battle has already been won? Yes. And then we can go forth and be able to trust and just find the next clue and find the clue after that. My dad, I think it was hard for him to put it down, the clues, because we did this well into my college years. And I was kind of tired of it. Were you kind of tired of it? But we did it for him. It was just kind of nice. But every year he'd be like, this is the last year. I'm tired of this. I'm like, okay, Dad, sure. But I think there was something very beautiful because as year after year, we would still have these clues. We would always have a Hantry Dantry Flantry, just as a little hat tip and an homage to the years past, and whatever, in 1998 it was that he did that. And I just think it's so great that year after year, we come back to this space, Christmas and Easter, that WashU allows us to worship here for this time, because it just reminds me, and I hope it reminds you, that these are sacred days, and that maybe sometimes we overthink it, or we in our lives and all of our heaviness make it too complicated. What if we allow Jesus to be the one that we seek, where he may be found? Not in an empty tomb, but here in this upper room where he wants to worship with us, where he wants to smile upon us, where he wants to embrace and cherish us just as we are, and he wants us to follow after him. And he's going to leave far more than breadcrumbs. He's going to leave glad rejoicing and help us to get to heaven. That's my prayer for all of you, and I hope you really do have a blessed Easter season.